We're back. Hello, friends. It has been a while.
Hello.
Welcome back to the studio.
It's been ages. I can't remember how to do a podcast. Can you? You've done more than me in the last 2 months, but it's been a long time. Things have changed. Jimmy just looked into the camera to do the intro. I'm really out of touch here. What's going on?
He's been practicing.
So, welcome back to the Wild Ones podcast, the show where we chat about bike stuff. Francis is here. Producer Emily is here. What has actually been happening? So I feel like this is the first time we have done this in this capacity. It's actually something like 2 months, which is absolutely wild.
I've been off work since the start of the Tour de France, basically. When you guys did your daily show,
Yep.
I was away, not working. Danny, my wife, pointed out that my version of not working is actually doing work, but just on my phone, sat on a sofa. So I changed location of the work, but still did the same amount of work. But it felt like a rest, which was good, I think.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Yeah,
Francis.
yeah, I keep it, yeah.
We obviously did the 500 episode Tour de France show, which was fantastic and had lots of guests. And then we went on holiday, which was nice.
We
had
did.
some
It was
time
nice.
off.
Yes.
The building site outside the studio has got louder.
I can feel it.
I can as well.
feel
Have
it.
you seen the size of the drills that they have? They're
No.
drilling to the Earth's core,
Yeah.
just outside there.
It's kind of like a free massage chair, though. It's concerning how much my chair was just vibrating.
I was away. This is a bit of an update from me. I was away for a sad reason to begin with, because my dad passed away. I know I talked about this on the podcast before. Got diagnosed with cancer about a year ago, and was given a year to live by the doctors. That was their prediction, and he lasted exactly a year, almost to the day. But we were able to spend an amazing last year with him. So it was so nice for us to actually have a bit of a timeline, and for him as well. So we just did loads of stuff. So the last year was fantastic. The last couple of months has been really hard, as you can expect. But we've been... I can't take credit for this this quote, but I heard somewhere, and I don't know where, the idea of just carry on living as if he's still there. Mm-hmm. So if I'm ever in a situation where I'm like, I want to talk to my dad now, well, what would he say? You just imagine what he would say. You just think, like, what advice would he give? And that's a nice way to think about it, I think. So
It's nice.
yeah, that's sad. It's hard for my mum as well. Me and Danny were living with my mum for like a month, which was interesting. It was moving back in with your parents, but it was really nice. And like, even before he passed away, it brought the family close together and all the family friends. And it was amazing. He didn't want to have a funeral, so we had a party for him basically. And his musical partner, the duo, because he had a band called Baz and Dave. Dave, amazing pianist, played this send-off gig for him. And it was just incredible, and so many people came.
Oh, that's nice.
You forget how he's just such a good guy and such a popular person. And when everyone there is in one place, you're like, well, okay, like, people really love my dad.
He had that party when he was still alive. He had
As well, yeah. Well, he did his last gig at a London pub. It's like a pub sing-along that he used to do. And he basically had a living wake.
Yeah.
Because he did one last gig about 3 months before he passed. And he played for 4 hours with no breaks. And it was like, he said, it was like he wasn't ill for that day.
Rock
'cause obviously,
star.
he was in a bit of pain. And so, yeah, he's total rock star. He's a lot cooler than me. He's just such a great guy. And right until the end, even like in hospital, in the ICU or resuscitation, that part of the hospital where things are going bad, he's like such an optimist, forever the optimist. He's going like, so we go to the hospice after this. And the doctor's like, nah, it's like hours, not days. And he's like, oh, okay. It's like, how do you take that information such a chill way? So just, he's an inspiration. And yeah.
He is, and
I was very lucky.
I'm glad you got to spend that time with him as well. I think some people were curious as to why it was just me and Jimmy for a while. They thought
Why did
maybe
I
that
disappear?
we'd co-opted your channel.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad that you got to spend that time with him.
That's lucky. All the time. I got to spend 31 years with him.
Yeah.
His dad died when he was 7. So we did better than him.
Yeah.
And that's, there's loads of situations like that where people don't get to spend their whole lives for 30 years. It's amazing. Got to spend loads of great time with him. So I'm thankful for that.
It's perhaps an opportunity because there may be some people listening to this that are struggling with grief, and there are lots of good charities, one of which we know set up by one of the lads we know from the London cycling scene, the New Normal charity. So if you are struggling with grief, or if you are finding it hard, there are people out there you can speak to help you through it.
Yeah, his thing's great. It's completely free peer-to-peer support groups for all different types of things, but one of them is grief. And worth checking out.
Should we get onto some news?
Let's get into some news, yep. So first up, we need to talk about electric gear hacking and how it could be used to sabotage professional cycling. And this actually makes me think about the millions of times that Cavendish has been in a sprint and then he's pulled up and complained about his bike. And now it all makes sense.
Do you also believe the Earth is flat?
No. It's a cube, obviously. So basically,
Cuba.
some researchers in the US have found a weakness in Shimano's wireless shifting software, which meant someone could potentially hack into your gearing and remote control it. They uncovered a simple technique that would allow a hacker to send a radio signal to a bike up to 30 feet away. So I think that's about 10 meters, isn't it? The hacker would then have full control of the derailleurs and be able to shift gears or lock the gearing so you couldn't shift at all. And they could also target multiple bikes at once using the method. The researchers warned that this weakness could be exploited in professional cycling to sabotage competitors. As we know, Cav has complained about this numerous times, not literally, of course. In their report, they described it as a different kind of doping, one that leaves no trace.
I feel like you can only get away with this trick a couple of times, can't you? I feel it leaves a bit of a trace. Or do you just think that it's just your gears are crap, your bike's crap? And then
It's probably that. It's a subtle... whoop.
Well, I feel like a lot of people have complained about SRAM shifting for quite some time, and now we know why.
Nick has done this on group rides. Nick is the guy who runs a bike shop nearby. He's been in these videos before. He loves a bit of SRAM. He'll sell customers SRAM, but then he has the app, doesn't he? So he can program it exactly how he wants. And he's put people's droppers, and customers who are friends. May I just point this out? So he can get away with this.
Because you can't bully strangers, but you can bully your friends.
Yeah, you bully your friends. That's fine. He's done people's dropper posts because you get the axis dropper, and you can wirelessly make someone's dropper go up and down as you're riding. I don't think it can be programmed to two things, so you must have redone it when they were waiting to go for the ride at the shop.
It feels like a self-sabotage though, because you just be like, oh, this SRAM stuff's rubbish. Give me Shimano
No,
instead.
because then he gets them to crash. And then they break their bikes, and then they have to pay for new bikes, bike parts.
So the study focused on Shimano because it's the largest market share, but they said that other brands of wireless shifters may be vulnerable to similar hacking techniques. Thankfully, they shared their research with Shimano, which has worked to develop a software patch to enhance security. And Shimano has already shared this with pro teams, and there is going to be an update for consumers coming late August.
Yeah, it might have already happened. I don't know. I don't do, as we know, I don't do electronic shifters. So I don't know. It might have already come out. Maybe you can tell us in the comments if you have it. And if there is a software update, do it, because someone might try to hack your gears.
You're assuming people update the software of their bikes.
I
Have you done it?
a couple. It was in the Tour de France phase,
Yeah.
and we were watching all of the shows. And one of the things that I did that day was go through all of my bikes and update everything.
Ah.
And I updated all of my SRAM stuff for the first time in about 2 years, and it is actually made a
Better.
difference. Legitimately
funny
made
that.
a difference.
I just keep going. The same as my... I treat all technology the same. My MacBook, as you know, I don't even switch it off. So I just wait until it stops working.
I'm the same.
And then you go, restart. And go, wow, this is amazing. And then it's like software update. It's been software update for 6 months now. It's probably 10 different versions that I could update.
And this is why both of you constantly complain to me about your computers not being good
It
enough.
should do it
You're
automatically.
like, Premiere Pro's rubbish, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
No.
2024,
it does.
it should do it for you. This is I don't want to do extra work on top of my work.
What's the extra
I want
work?
to sit down and do work,
What's the extra work?
pressing a button that says update system software and then waiting for the bar and all of that stuff.
You just set it to automatically do it
yeah,
overnight.
it's on automatic. It doesn't do it.
No, you're wrong.
I'm right.
Oh, we should point out as well, something that the researchers said was that it was a cautionary tale about adding wireless tech to stuff like garage doors, bikes, cars, etc.
That's really interesting because I'm kind of in this phase, and I feel like there's going to be some people out there. I'm kind of becoming anti-tech again, or not again, but I'm kind of I feel like there's too much tech now. It annoys me that I have to have a smartphone, otherwise I can't do things like banking, and I can't buy stuff online. It annoys me if I go on Facebook on a different browser and it says we've pinged a thing to your phone, and I'm like, well, that phone number's about 14 years out of date, so I'm basically never getting to Facebook again. I think there's too much tech. I think we're getting out of hand. It's not going to be long, and we're going to have chips in our hands and little plugins in our brains.
This reminds me of the Simpsons meme of like old man yells at cloud.
Yeah. But Francis will be the one which is like, yeah, put the chip in my head so I don't have to ever pay for something and it just happens automatically.
As long as it updates on its own.
As long as it updates on its own, yeah. I want a better volume for just volume in general. You know, like
volume,
the loudness of sound. Yeah, like I'll be playing music, and then to adjust the volume, which used to be whoop, a twist,
a button.
Now it's
a dial even,
or it's boop, 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 on the touch screen, like you're just trying to swipe it.
Why didn't you just like go, Siri, turn down volume?
I've never talked to Siri before.
There you go. my phone just came up and said, okay, media will play softer.
Nice.
Oh,
do you ever say, I do have an Alexa, and I say thank you to it just in case AI takes over the world. I've always been polite. So maybe it will spare me.
See, I'm polite to my tech.
Yeah.
Not for that reason, but just because it feels appropriate. How British.
Me and you will be the only ones protected. And so we can...
But it would be like, I've set your alarm for 7 a.m. I'm like, oh, thanks. That's very kind of you.
So next, Specialized are facing huge criticism over workers at a factory that made their clothing who've been denied $560,000 in unpaid wages for 2 years now. So this case centres around a garment factory in El Salvador called APS, which was making clothing for Specialized along with a handful of other companies. That factory went bust in August 2022. And workers were abruptly dismissed and left with unpaid wages and benefits totaling $1.3 million. To put that into some context for you, on average, each of them were owed more than $2,000, which is equivalent to about 6 months' wage for them. That is a lot of money for anyone to lose. So the Chinese company who owned the factory had gone bust too and couldn't be pursued for compensation. So the only option for these workers was to go directly to the brands that they made the clothing for, many of which, including Specialized, have fair labour policies that they specifically reference paying workers what they're owed. Long story short, all the other brands who were using that factory have contributed to the tune of almost 1.3 million. Only one company hasn't, Specialized. In fact, not only have they contributed nothing after 2 years, but not-for-profit organisations acting on behalf of these workers say that Specialized have ghosted them and then started blocking their email domains.
This is wild.
It is, isn't it? So Specialized was questioned by the cycling press about this case earlier this year, and they told journalists they were willing to pay $44,000, which they claimed represented about 3 months of work done for them. But the accuracy of this calculation has been highly disputed, and the Clean Clothes Campaign, which is one of the organisations fighting for a resolution, say this figure is grossly inadequate and that workers deserve to be wholly compensated. What's more, my sources tell me that this offer by Specialized was never actually put forward to the workers or their representatives directly before it was shared to the journalist, probably because all of those people were blocked. But the first time the figure was ever mentioned was to the press, so there's been questions raised about their motives for doing this.
So am I right in thinking that because it was a contractor that they were dealing with, there's no actual legal obligation for them to pay, but it's a moral thing because they're a massive, humongous organisation and they're using a factory where there's people that earn £2,000 for 6 months worth of work?
Exactly that, yes. So the workers are entitled to this payment under Salvadoran law from the factory, but the brands themselves have no legal liability. It's more of a social responsibility, especially when companies like Specialized present themselves as progressive companies. They promote their fair labour policies. They want, They have green stances. You know, they want us to think that they give a shit ultimately. And it's actually becoming increasingly common for brands to step in and pay workers' wages when factories fail. And it's considered best practice by organisations such as the Fair Labour Association. So I spoke to a lady called Priscilla from the Clean Clothes Campaign, which is one of the organisations fighting on behalf of the workers, and she summed it up perfectly.
The law is a really great tool, right? But we can't always be looking at the legal framework, because so often that legal framework is woefully inadequate when it comes to protecting vulnerable people.
Yeah.
And what it all really comes down to is a very basic thing of like, you are outsourcing to save money. That's why all brands do this, whether you're a cycling brand or another clothing brand. And now, you know, your workers have just got over because of these decisions that you've taken. And now, you know, you have a responsibility to you know, give them redress, give them some compensation for the very real harms that they're suffering.
So as she says, it's a social responsibility. And I think as consumers, we want to know that the brands that we're buying from have a moral compass. That also, Specialized are definitely not short of money. For example, in their marketing budget, they sponsor numerous Tour de France teams. Red Bull Bora, SD Works.
Well, this is
Soudal.
so much money to these workers.
Oh, yeah, loads.
So much money.
Yeah.
Like life-changing. If they don't get it, a lot of the people will be in trouble.
Yeah.
I imagine. And this is not very much money for Specialized. So just fix it.
Exactly.
Like, what's wrong with you? You already have a reputation for being a not very nice brand to the smaller guy. You know, there's a lot of David versus Goliath stories of Specialized suing smaller businesses legally, but ethically it's questionable. The way they deal with situations like this has historically not been good. Do something good and fix your reputation.
I totally agree. In that interview earlier in the year, Specialized spokesman Ben Edwards said, "We all have the same goal, make sure the workers get paid what they're owed for any work they did on Specialized apparel that they did not receive income for. But actions speak louder than words. This week marks the 2-year anniversary of that factory closing, and there's still $559,000 in unpaid wages. Specialized is the only company not to have contributed anything."
I suppose we don't know that 559,000 is all Specializes.
No, but I think the point that the Clean Clothes Campaign is trying to get across is the workers deserve to be wholly compensated. Mm-hmm. Specialized has no legal obligation to do anything. None of these companies did. There were other large companies, Gildan, who make T-shirts. Yeah. I think there's one called Hanes as well. All of those companies contributed a figure. That figure wasn't necessarily representative of directly the work. It's a social responsibility thing. Those people deserve to have that money. And if you're going to step in, then why not contribute it all? Do you know what I mean? They shouldn't be left out of pocket. And if you want to help with that, then help with it.
Yeah.
So when asked about the claims made in this investigation, Specialized denied that it had ignored messages from the Workers' Rights Consortium and Green America. In fact, it said it's been in constant communication and says it takes its commitment to responsible manufacturing very seriously. It says we have been monitoring and will continue to monitor the matter in close cooperation with our supplier and are looking forward to a resolution through the local process and in accordance with our expectation, whatever that means.
Our expectation? What?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the closing messages of this is, if you want to support this campaign, I'm going to leave a link in the description. There's a petition on there that you can sign. That's what the Clean Clothes Campaign would like you to do. They're not calling for any sort of boycotts or anything like that, but I say just get messy and get in their Instagram comments. That is not endorsed by the Clean Clothes Campaign, but
it's the only way they'll listen.
Or Cade Media.
Or Cade Media, no, exactly. Don't do that.
But all of us individually.
Yeah.
Time for a round of overrated or underrated. I'm going to read out I can't even remember what the words are for this.
It's been a while, Jimmy.
Time for a round of overrated or underrated. I'm going to read out some things and you're going to tell me if you think they are overrated or underrated. First up, the Olympic road race, suggested by Neil.
Underrated.
Yeah, the Olympic road race was great this year.
I think it's always pretty good. And it's weird. I don't know. It's weird team dynamics, isn't it? Because some of the teams, their riders are in their country's livery, but still kind of ride together sometimes for the teams that they ride for in the World Tour. So like hard to spot the riders. It's just like an interesting watch. I
It was
enjoy
interesting.
And it was really, really good this year, both men's and women's.
They were both good, weren't
Really,
they? Yeah.
really good.
I think my brain has deleted most of the last 2 months, to be honest. And I have a couple of really like cloudy memories of what happened in both of those races, but I can't really remember, to be honest.
Remco won the men's.
He rode away and was on his own for a while,
Yeah,
but then
there
he
was that
dropped
bit where he
his,
got the
he
puncture, didn't he?
punctured.
And then he was like, give me a bike,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
makes sense. And then in the women's race, there was a lass that broke off.
American
Well,
rider. Who Danny was going nuts. She's American. On the
Kristen
sofa
Faulkner.
next to me, he's just
Faulkner,
like,
yes.
come on, because she attacked perfect time. Oh,
Perfect.
It was a great timing. It was very fun to watch.
And it was interesting because Voss and was it Kopecky was watching each other
Yeah,
so
just
much
looking at
that
yeah.
Oh, yes. They basically all gave up, like chasing on.
I don't know if it was a gave up or it was just a misstep or
Yeah.
what it was,
and
but
what
it was
a horrible
interesting.
length of effort at the end as well, because you know for a fact that's just like a disgusting power numbers to be riding at. Horrible.
On a side note, I think my favourite thing to watch at the Olympics was the surfing.
Oh, surfing was great.
Late night surfing. And what did you describe it as? It's like
Big Brother at night.
Big Brother at night. You remember when Big Brother was on and they had like a 24-hour live
Just people
cam?
sleeping.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was weirdly addictive to watch and nothing really happened. That's surfing.
The surfing was like that because it was in Tahiti, so it was on at our time like 2 a.m. and stuff like that. So if I couldn't sleep at night, I was just putting it on and just watching people try to catch a wave. It was great.
It's not in France.
No.
They just go like, wow, we'll just go somewhere
It's in
else.
French Polynesia.
Technically is sort of,
Okay, right, got it. Okay, yeah.
if you want to call it France.
Call it colonization.
Yeah.
So it's like a 25-minute segment, and then they end up doing like 1 or 2 surfs in that time. So a lot of the time, you're just kind of watching someone just kind of.
Waiting for a wave.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's quite good. Next up, we have. Oh wait, did we rate it? No, we didn't, did we?
Yeah, we said underrated.
Oh yeah, cool. Next up, we have riding no-handed, also suggested by Neil. Overrated for me.
Underrated?
Oh, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It's pretty cool. If you can do it.
bro.
So cool, bro.
That's weird that this is in here. This morning, had a really nice tailwind on the ride in, and I was on the quayside, and I was just riding no hands, admiring the beautiful river, the Brown River.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is that the end of the story?
that's the end of the story.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So it's underrated. It was great. 10 seconds of my life.
What? And it was the no-handing that made that moment nice.
Yeah, little stretch my back out a bit. You know,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
that's what you need.
It's a nice sense of accomplishment when you feel so comfortable and balanced on your bike that you can do it, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Well, that I appreciate the like skill side of it, and it's one of the things that makes someone a better cyclist. But I think it's overrated because it encourages people, especially when you see the pros do it, taking off their jackets and stuff. To like, I've seen people descend no-handed. That is not a good idea.
Don't do that.
Bad idea.
I do that. Well, because I film stuff. You know, do you remember that clip of Vingegaard? Apparently, that's how you pronounce his name now. Thanks thanks for that. There's a clip of him on the last stage of the Tour de France, like 2 years ago, maybe 3, like struggling to do no hands. His bike's going everywhere. He keeps going, and it got posted in the media everywhere. The best cyclist in the world couldn't do no hands properly.
It was the bike. I heard that someone locked his gears up.
Ah, yeah.
Next up is the Alien franchise, which is obviously very topical because the new Alien films come out and everyone's going wild for Alien at the minute.
Underrated.
I actually rewatched the first Alien film, Alien, for probably the first time as an actual adult. I probably haven't seen that film in like 15, 20 years.
I've got a fact about it.
$11 million budget, grossed, I think, 200 million or something like that.
This is just the first film.
The first film, made in 1978, and it looks absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe how good it looks considering they did it on what was, for films, a shoestring, even in the 70s.
And it's the vibes and the atmosphere, which
So
has been
good.
it was been the inspiration for so many space horror films and games and stuff for years and years afterwards. There is, I won't include any spoilers here. My fact about Alien, the first film, is that there is one very famous scene, and in that scene, something happens which is shocking, and nobody on set, except for the director, I'm pretty sure, knew that what was going to happen was going to happen. So all the reactions are genuine.
Jimmy told me this while we were watching said scene. And I was watching the reactions and everyone was way too quiet. I feel like you'd be going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I think I would be anyway.
Cannot say anymore.
This specifically says Alien franchise. There are questionable. There's actually, do you know what? No, they're
Guilty
all,
pleasures.
They're all good.
Like Alien versus Predator.
Oh, Alien versus Predator is rubbish.
Yeah, rubbish, but I would still watch it.
Oh, I wouldn't.
As I would Predator and those films.
Well, Predator, yeah.
Yeah.
Prey. Have you seen Prey?
You've told me about this. No.
So
No,
good.
okay.
So good.
I'll watch it. It's on the list.
I think Alien 3 is underrated.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like that one, but it's interesting because Alien 1 is like a classic sci-fi horror film, and then Alien 2 almost, and, well, maybe not 3, but definitely 2. When 2 came out, which I think is about 8 years later or something like that, it's basically an action film
Yes.
based in space rather than a horror film.
Yeah.
But
Very
anyway,
different.
yeah, fantastic.
Highly regarded as people's favorite as well, isn't it? Aliens, which is 2.
Are they overrated?
Yes.
No. Are they underrated? No.
You have to choose one. Therefore, it's underrated.
Therefore, it's underrated.
I really like Alien. There's a xenomorph tattoo there, which I've pointed out before. If you'd see it from this angle, it's like a nice little flower. And then if you roll up your sleeve more, it's a dirty alien.
What happened to you getting a back tattoo of a xenomorph with my face on it?
I can't afford it.
No, I said I'll pay for it.
You can't afford it.
I can, because Scott will do it. You give me mates rates.
No, you still couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I can definitely
Very intricate tattoo.
definitely make it
No,
happen.
because I wanted it photorealistic, and
Yeah,
Scott's been training for years.
Yep, can also be arranged.
No, it's in the calendar, but I have to pay him finance.
I can sort that. Don't worry. You don't need to worry about that. You just need to show up.
Okay.
Shall I get a date?
Yeah, you get a date in the diary.
Yeah, okay, cool. Next up, treadmills.
Yeah.
Is that your reaction to treadmills?
No, the coffee had bits in.
Is it a similar reaction to
What is
treadmills?
it? Treadmills. No, I love a treadmill.
I hate treadmills with a passion. However, we live in a part of the country that means I do like to run still. In winter, it is pitch black pretty much 24 hours a day. And some of my running is on lanes, and therefore it becomes outrageously dangerous. So I want a treadmill, or I want access to a treadmill via a gymnasium, so that I can run more throughout winter. But what I hate about treadmills is if you run with proper running form, they basically, to be fast on a treadmill, you have to have rubbish form, which is probably why you like them.
Talking about it, just because your running form is elite.
Not the speed though. The form, yes, they're not the speed.
It just says treadmills, and that doesn't mean exclusively running.
It doesn't, no.
I have cycled on a treadmill before, and I wasn't allowed to post it. It was at the Garmin. They won't mind me talking about it. They have this thing called.
I think they might not want you to talk about it because
No, you're allowed to talk about it.
They are bonkers secretive about it.
No.
Say it.
I'm saying it anyway. Please don't fire us as sponsor people. The Magnum, which there's a video of Peter Sagan riding it, and I got to ride it, and it's a treadmill which is extra big for bikes, and then it has like a thing that if you ride too far forwards, it adjusts, and so you don't ride off it and stuff.
So it is for bikes.
For bikes, yeah.
Yep.
And
You
it's
can run on it as well, I assume.
It's a Garmin product.
No, it never was
existed
released.
for like, I think about like 2 weeks or something.
Oh, right, okay.
That
Still exists in their office
I think they've got rid of it now.
in the New Forest.
I think it's gone now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wonder who has it.
I think it's gone to the point that they want people to not know it exists, which is why they're going to be upset that we're talking about it.
Moving on.
Moving on.
If you have any suggestions for overrated or underrated, please send them to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk, and we might read it out in a future episode. Next up, we have Fluff Up of the Week. Right, okay, so I went out to get me and Francis some lovely coffees from the coffee shop that's close to us, and I took my podcast iPad with me because I was reading the notes whilst waiting for the coffees, and then I thought I was going to get the coffees in one of those little carry trays, and I didn't, so I was like, oh, well, I've got my iPad, I'll just use that as a tray. And what I learned as I was walking up the stairs is condensation forms underneath the cup. If you have that on a piece of glass, it becomes really slippery, and the well, my coffee went everywhere, and I'm going to have to tell our landlord that there's now coffee all up the wall in the public, like communal area bit, and he's probably going to have to charge us to repaint
It's like a
it.
crime
That
scene.
is the most first world problem. I was using my iPad as a tray, and then it was too slippery.
Yeah. I know.
But it worked out well because before that we didn't really have a fluff up of the week, did
Yeah,
we?
thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, no worries.
Staging that.
Yeah, no worries.
There was one point where you suggested your dad dying be fluff up of the week, and we had to
Yeah,
say,
it would
I
have
don't know
been. That
whether
was the backup.
it was the backup. But I'm glad we didn't have to do that because I don't know whether that would be insensitive. But then you suggest it, so
It
He
is-
would have laughed.
yeah.
That
fair
is a
enough.
very Francis Cade suggestion, to be honest. Shall we finish off with some listeners' takeover?
We should, but you're gonna have to make it really long because currently it's saying we're only on 34 minutes and we usually do an hour. But I think I've planned this podcast as if it was one of our mini Tour de France episodes, and I've got my timings wrong. So we're just going to speak really slowly and make this section last.
You'd be surprised.
half an
Things get
hour.
out of hand, Emily.
But they
Things
do.
get out of hand.
Yeah, go.
Ian writes, "Hello team, have you seen the prices of the new GCN paid YouTube offering? I was pleased to see that the previous GCN Plus videos being available again, but the pricing is crazy. They are no Netflix and will unfortunately be giving it a miss. All the best, Ian."
Thanks, Ian.
Okay, so I had a look at their pricing. So here's the breakdown.
Sweat, what paid YouTube?
Yes, so GCN Plus, the app, as far as I understand, used to give documentaries. Those documentaries, you had to pay for the GCN app, obviously, so that was like premium content as part of that offering. The GCN Plus app closed, and they said everyone was like, "Where's the documentaries? We want to see them." So they said, "We are going to continue to do them. However, they cost a lot of money to produce, and therefore we are going to create a paid for YouTube plan, and it's like premium content,
Which
on
is a
YouTube.
feature on YouTube that we
is a
don't
thing
use.
now, is it?
Yeah, it's a feature on YouTube. So it's just a paywall on YouTube.
Exactly.
Most people do Patreon instead because this feature, YouTube take 50%.
Do they?
Or close to. It's a huge cut. We're same with super thanks and all of that. So, there's like chats, people who do live streams.
Yes.
When it says like bing, 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 and you get money donated through the comments. I think you can do it on ours. But if you do that, YouTube take a huge slice.
Interesting.
So it's a very weird way of doing it.
It's interesting you mentioned Patreon because that is exactly what it seemed like in this
Yeah, it
pricing
basically is
structure.
that.
Bear in mind, Patreon also take a cut, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but Patreon's cut is 2% or 3%, depending on what level of service you want from them. So you can pay up to like 5 or 10 for really fancy plans, but the basic rate on Patreon is extremely low, the cut they take.
I imagine YouTube's argument would be, you're already on YouTube, you're way more likely
You
to
get
get
more
the money,
views. Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than
yeah.
people that want to click away, even if it's one click, and
Yeah,
go off
people
onto
that-
a different website. So it's a bit like eBay as well, isn't it? They take a massive cut, but would you be selling it otherwise?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? So the pricing breakdown is as follows. £2.99 a month gets you a special badge next to your name in the comments and on live chat, custom emojis to use in the comments and on live chat, and discount on merch. So that's basically just for people who want to give them a little money because they support their work. £12.99 gets you all of the above, plus access to the GCN Plus documentaries and priority replies in comments. So to get those GCN Plus documentaries, $12.99 a month. Is that the price of Netflix now?
No, it's more expensive than Netflix and more expensive than Disney Plus.
No, Netflix is mega expensive now. It's like 16, 17 quid for like HD and stuff.
That's if you want 4K.
Who doesn't want 4K?
Plans range from $6.99 to $22.99
That's with ads.
a month.
I promise there's lower versions, and the same with Amazon and Disney Plus. You can do like lower quality, like you get the ads
Streams.
one, which is the cheapest. Then you can pay slightly more for 720p or 1080p, and then it's more again for full 4K.
You're getting a lot of stuff on Netflix.
A lot of
For that
stuff,
money.
not just one set of documentaries.
So there is a tier above that as well. $22.99 a month, so 10 quid more a month. This is all in pounds. Same as above, but you get a water bottle and a signed book as long as you signed up for one whole year.
So £120 for a water bottle and a book.
Yes,
signed.
signed.
By who?
I think good content is worth paying for. And I think that, especially since the internet has come about, people don't want to pay for good journalism. And I don't necessarily think that is a good thing. I was actually reading an article last night about journalism, and it's in the cycling press, and how basically all articles and videos and stuff are anchored towards SEO, search engine optimization, stuff that's going to get recommended and is going to have long-term appeal. Because if you're not making money on subscriptions, you need to make money on eyeballs. You need your content to get as many views as possible.
Or advertising, which is the traditional TV structure.
Yes, but advertising again only works based on volume. So your content is always going to be targeted towards getting as many eyeballs as possible, and that doesn't always equal good quality content. So what is the antidote to that? People paying for content. So I don't necessarily have a problem with people charging premium amounts for their content, something that takes a lot of money to make and probably isn't as clickable as, look how much this £10,000 bike costs. Or well, that would be a terrible title, but you know what I mean? Like that kind of...
Bet it's £10,000.
It probably is £10,000. You'll have to watch the video to find out, Francis. It's live on my Patreon
I want to
now.
click it now. That's the best title ever.
Oh God, my brain's not working.
Interesting. They can't really go back on it now, though, can they? So I've experimented with like really long form, stitched together vlogs of my bikepacking trips, which is the closest thing I have to a movie for now. We might be working on something. But the revenue that a really long video on YouTube generates, and it's the same with these podcasts, the RPMs, so the revenue per meal, I believe that is the pronunciation. So the amount of money you get per 1,000 views is higher on those longer videos. So I think uploading all of these documentaries to YouTube would actually be quite a profitable thing to do. But I guess now it's done. You're going to upset if you went back on it. Not that I'm saying that was their plan, but they probably can't go backwards.
So what you're saying is if they just put it on normal free YouTube, they'd make quite a bit of money.
It would take longer to get the money, but it's there forever, and those videos will be, because they have that high RPM, YouTube recommends them to more people, and it starts just snowballing, and they will go forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
I guess the difference may be between, for example, the trips that you're doing and the trips that they're doing. I imagine you do it on much less budget, and it still costs you a lot of money, but you are a one-man band essentially.
Yeah.
A one-man filming band, a one-man editing band, a one-man planning, everything. And most traditional media companies are probably using multiple people on salaries to create the same thing or the same length of thing or whatever. So I imagine their budget for stuff is way higher, and therefore you can't really afford for it to maybe hit the algorithm or maybe not hit the algorithm. It has to return, doesn't it? Otherwise,
it will hit the algorithm.
Okay.
This is the thing. Like I think they're shortchanging themselves by doing this. I think yes, it will take slightly longer, but it will outweigh the amount you're making behind a paywall. I think paywall stuff, it just doesn't quite work.
I'll be honest,
anymore.
having worked in the national press on websites that have tried paywalls, I haven't seen one successful one yet.
No, play the long game. It's just...
They're different things. They're different things. Like GCN know they've got like a big hardcore following. So they will make good revenue from having these plans. And that doesn't mean that they then can't, like the current cinema model, it goes in the cinema for now 3 or 4 weeks, and then it nearly immediately goes on to paid streaming, and then it eventually goes on to free streaming.
That's so what do you think the reaction, do you think it's fair to the people that have paid specifically to see these documentaries $12.99 a month for in a year's time or 2 years' time, all these documentaries then eventually becoming free?
If the period of time is far enough that you no longer care about them.
Yeah.
We're not
I guess
suggesting,
it's
we
really
don't know
counting
that
on.
that's definitely going to happen, do we?
No,
We're
of
just
course not.
speculating.
No,
Yeah.
that's speculation.
I don't know. I guess it's the same as, would you feel annoyed if you'd gone to watch the new Alien film in the cinema and paid 15 quid for that, however much it costs, and then it comes out?
We're very in a great position that we're a very lean business. Therefore, all of our content can be free. And I like that. And I want to keep it that way for as long as possible.
Yes, free to the viewer, but also then requiring
Advertising, yeah.
advertising.
that's true.
You're always paying somehow. You are always paying
Paying with
somehow.
your attention, or YouTube Premium, isn't it? With it used to be YouTube Red. Is that a thing? Is that what it was called?
Does anyone even use YouTube Premium though?
A lot of people do.
Do they?
You can see it in the stats. It's your job. You should be looking at that. It is better for the creator, for a YouTube Premium user to watch your stuff than a person watching advertisements.
Do you think?
Mm-hmm.
You get more money.
You
That's
get
what
more money
said.
as a creator, yeah.
There we go.
And I think it's good value. I mean, it's cheaper than the GCN subscription, and it's no ads over the whole of YouTube. And you can also stream stuff on your phone, turn your phone screen off, and continue listening, which is how I like to listen to
for
a lot of
audio
videos. So I
podcast
pay
stuff.
for YouTube Premium, yeah. Yeah, so like a podcast. Whereas if you have a YouTube video open in normal without YouTube Premium, you turn your phone screen off, and then it cuts the video. And they do that on purpose to get people to subscribe to it. Premium.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't have a problem with them charging what they feel they need to charge for it. It doesn't mean that you have to pay for it. It'll be interesting to see whether that is enough to fund their documentaries, because it's a hard ask, isn't it? That there are a lot of different websites not only asking for your attention, but even if you have to pay for them, you're getting a lot of value from that. And people are used to that, aren't they? If that, a lot of people are used to just getting stuff for free. So it is a hard ask, I think, for them. But they have a loyal following, don't they?
Yeah, I want to watch them, and I would watch documentaries and sit through ads. Well, I wouldn't because of YouTube Premium, but I'm not going to watch them if it's $12.99.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Same as Ian. Oh no, not Ian.
Thank you for that one, Ian.
Oh, Ian, yeah.
Please keep sending in your email stories and fun stuff to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk. Our inbox is quite full at the moment because we've been away, but we do love when you write to us, and I like looking over them every Monday.
I have a holiday rule. What you should do is select all, delete, and just start fresh.
Absolutely not, no.
So that is all for this week. That went way better than I thought it was going to, so I hope it comes across well when you're listening to this. Thank you for listening. Make sure you are following and or subscribing so that you don't miss the next one. We will see you, or you'll hear us, one or the other, next week.
Straight into the camera. Look at that.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Nice to be back.